Well, all right, we'll go ahead and get started because I know everyone has a busy day today. So hello and good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you're logging in from today. Thanks again so much for joining our session, How to Make Salesforce RAD, Transforming Salesforce into a CRM for Recruitment, Admissions, and Decisions. My name is Wendy Hamstra-Smith, and I'm Director of Sales Enablement at Enrollment Rx. Previously to joining the company, I did spend 15 years working in higher education and held pretty much every admissions-related job there was, including student tour guide. But most recently, I served as the Associate Dean of Admissions Operations, and during my time, I was responsible for implementing Salesforce with Enrollment Rx. So I was fortunate to have 7 years of experience working with the products and platform as a user. So what are we here for today? Well, three main things. First, what is RAD, why be RAD, and how to become RAD. As we go through today, a couple slides as well as a demo, please feel free to drop any questions you have in the Q&A box, and we'll make sure to answer those at the end of the presentation. And also, as attending today, don't forget you're all included in a raffle for some awesome new headphones, and we'll announce that winner after the webinar tomorrow. All right, so as we go through the what is RAD, why be RAD, and how to be RAD, I'm hoping that you can see how this solution is designed to serve all of our different constituents as they are serving their students and populations. So first, let's talk about the RAD solution. It's recruitment, admissions, and decisions on Salesforce, powered by Enrollment Rx. If you are joining the Dreamforce conference, then you probably already know and love the platform, or you're exploring it as an option because you have heard how scalable, future-proof, and trusted it is. Well, here at Enrollment Rx, we are also huge Salesforce fans, which is why we decided over 12 years ago to build on top of the platform with the goal of providing products for higher education to accomplish their unique needs from the top of the funnel to the time of enrollment. So our 5 RAD products here are designed to be out-of-the-box recruitment products that are highly configurable. And our 6th product listed is Integration RX. And that service provides real-time, bi-directional integration between Salesforce and your student information system, as well as data imports and third-party applications such as Common App, Coalition, and sources like ACT and GRE. And for those Salesforce junkies out there wondering about a managed package for admissions, we want you to know that our philosophy is to build products that are completely native to Salesforce, flexible, object agnostic, and compatible with the education data architecture. And importantly, we build products that are designed to be easy to learn and to be maintained by a school's admin with the help of our robust customer service and support. All right, let's next talk about why schools are looking to be RAD on Salesforce with Enrollment Rx to serve the needs of their institution. So we could probably agree that 2020 has been an interesting year to say the least. Schools have faced challenges that we couldn't have even dreamed of this time last year. However, here at Enrollment Rx, we are constantly amazed at how our client community has leveraged their technology combined with unprecedented innovation and sheer determination to still accomplish some pretty rad things this year. So for example, not only meeting, but surpassing their enrollment goals. Moving their entire student orientation online in a matter of weeks, and then also conversely, managing the transition back to in-person events using our capacity event modules within Events RX. And then also even building out flexibility with the application checklist items and creating multilingual applicant portals to serve their students. In addition, our students that we're serving, needs have changed or enhanced over this last year. Students are looking for a self-service experience. They want personalized engagement so they know that the school that they're recruiting understands and knows them. They need virtual opportunities to connect, and with changes in test scores and admission requirements, they need some flexibility with the schools they're working with in order to serve their needs. And then as our client community, our users, our admins, again, are either transitioning back to campus, working virtually, need a CRM to support their needs. So for example, ease of use is huge, a flexible architecture, the ability to segment that communication that students are looking for as part of their personalized engagement. Our admins and users also need the ease of application review. How are they reviewing, scoring, and routing applications? Data transparency. how can we make sure that those people who need to see the data are seeing it? And then also having a platform-based solution like Salesforce so you continue to grow and scale on it. All right, so let's actually take a look at the R.A.D solution in action. So I'm going to switch over and walk through what it looks like to be R.A.D on top of Salesforce. All right, so first and foremost, as I mentioned before, students are looking for that self-service experience. And that's always been an important element in providing top-notch customer service. But as admissions staff members have been working remotely, it's even more important to provide students the information that they need on their own terms. So our dynamic portals, which are built natively on top of the Salesforce communities, give students the ability to check their status, to see what documents are required, maybe what needs to be uploaded. They also you need to be able to add maybe text boxes to communicate to them, changes, updates on their application. Students also love to see social media. What's happening on campus? What can they get excited about? See YouTube videos, the Twitter feeds, etc. Maybe see who their point of a contact is. So the student knows right away who to contact, Erin Accounting, phone number, email address, if there are any questions about her application experience. You also can use the applicant portal to push students to particular events, such as the next upcoming open house or a campus visit that's geared towards the student who's maybe interested in the business program. What we're looking at here is part of our Form Builder technology. And Form Builder comes with 5 templates out of the box that are ADA compliant, mobile friendly, and easy to be configured. We also have a build your own template module that you can add on top of it to create your own HTML coding and branding. Inside of the applicant portal, you can have pages where students are filling out information. Maybe it's an application or post-admission information you're collecting from a student. We need to have the ability to have read-only, required, rendered. So if I say I am interested in getting my text messaging, maybe I want to have a difference here in my phone number, preferred number here. So there needs to be this flexibility so that as students are going through this application experience, you're providing to them exactly what they need to see, and maybe not more. We know students are busy. They are filling out applications. They want it to be quick and easy to use. So let's not overwhelm them with all the information up front. Maybe ask them a question, and based on that, new information is going to populate and appear for them. And this is all configured by a very easy drag and drop configuration with inside of our Form Builder tool. I'm looking at it from an admin perspective. Where on the left-hand side here, I can see all the available objects that are available to me, either custom or standard. And then what I can do is just drag and drop that information over into the page I'm working on. From there, it's as easy as clicking, changing the field labels if needed, adding dynamic help text, and then from here, choosing whether or not, again, it is read-only, if it's required, perhaps it's required on condition, adding information here about why you're requiring it, etc., updating it, adding it to the portal, and going from there. Next up, we want to talk a little bit about how schools are adapting their visits and events to the virtual experience. So, this event page I'm showing you here could serve your students if you're hosting on-campus events, virtual events, and they want to make sure we accommodate any way a prospect is looking to engage with the campus experience. We saw some great examples this summer as clients were moving their orientations to virtual and being able to use our Events RX products in order to leverage that experience, collect the right information from students, and making sure that you are creating capacities if needed, or also providing that technology to have that experience virtually. So additional functionalities could include things such as activities and time slots. So for example, I'm looking at a page here where a student can come and schedule a visit on campus perhaps. So here I can choose from different time slots that are available to me, or I could sort it by activity. So perhaps I'm wanting to know if I could do an admission presentation during this visit, a campus tour, maybe meet with the business school. Each of these individual events can have capacity and wait lists. You also can make sure that students don't double book themselves for events. For example, I'm choosing a 9 to 10 o'clock admissions presentation. However, I can't also choose a 9 to 11 campus tour because it conflicts. So again, we want to make sure that our students are having a really easy experience as they're registering for events. And we also want to make sure that your team, your staff members, don't have to do a lot of manual work in following up with students who have double booked themselves for events. Another example of an event could be more of an open house. It could be as well part of a Zoom experience or whatever virtual platform you're using in order to accommodate students coming virtually or in person to campus. So as an example of a registration page where a student can fill out some information about themselves. Meanwhile, this page, as well as all of the application pages we talked about earlier, all the different ways that students are entering in the system, are also going through some strong deduplication methods to make sure as Abby fills out this event registration form, we're matching it to the correct Abby in our system and adding a touch point to her record so that we know that she applied for admissions, also has scheduled 2 campus visits, and reached out to a faculty member for some additional phone calls. So for example, if I take a look at my email here, I can see an example of a registration form here. So this also allows for an email to be sent to your students, immediately confirming that they have registered for a particular event, whatever description you want to provide about that event. And then also the technology provides for QR codes. So as the student comes to campus, you can scan this QR code using the Salesforce app and automatically check her in. This would kick off all the great communication post-event you would be sending out through marketing tools such as Pardot or Marketing Cloud. We also want to allow a student to add it to their calendar, or as much as we want them to attend an event, we also are keeping track of perhaps capacities. We're working with schools that are really limiting perhaps their admissions visits to only 10 people in a room. So if Addie is the 10th person to sign up for this event, and that's the max capacity, everyone else is going to be on a wait list. So we want to make sure that if she is going to cancel, it automatically opens up the next spot for the next person to register. And this is all configured by our Events Rx admin calendar. So we're looking at the back end functionality of what I showed you, where a student can come in and register for an event. We provide the opportunity to have reoccurring events. So for example, in the month of December, perhaps your visits are the same Monday through Thursday, and on Friday you offer specifically tour only. So this technology allows for you to create that reoccurring series to say, we're going to set the beginning and end date, and in each of those dates, what's going to occur. So for example, if I look at this Tuesday, the 1st, I can see that these are all the options that are occurring inside of this visit series. There's many options for campus tours, many options for admission presentations. What's also significant though is that we know life changes, schedule changes, it's winter time, there's weather changes as well. If there's a reason to cancel one individual time or whole date, it does not impact the rest of your visit series. So for example, if I were going to say, let's go ahead and cancel the afternoon visit here on the 10th, I can cancel it, save the changes, remove it from the visit calendar, and then communication can be sent to your students who've perhaps already registered for this event. All easy to use and configurable on this site here. Okay, so we also know that around this time of year, many schools are working on reviewing their applications for the spring semester or for fall 2021. So we want to make sure that your admission faculty member or your admission team members or your faculty members have a great experience on how to maintain and track and manage their individual students' application processes. So what we're looking at here is Enrollment Rx's quick admin panel, where I can see the progress of our student Abby applicant who's coming through, and I can see she's at app started. All of these stages here are configurable by engagement with our clients. So we might call it started app, you might call it app started. But the idea is that you can track these and also report off of these. So how many students are in this status? Also, what's the conversion? How long does it take for a student to start an application, to submit it, to complete, to review? These are all really important metrics that you can use in order to make some data-driven recruitment decisions. On this admissions panel, I can see a few things here. First of all, I can see all of her application requirements that are attached to this particular program, or perhaps it could be by the type of student. A freshman student might have a different set of requirements than a transfer, a graduate PhD student versus a master's PhD student. All of this is part of our application checklist requirements that you can configure and have many different layers and many different options when it comes to application checklists. You also can manage those checklists inside here as well. So I can see that this student has turned in their application fee. It's checked off. I see that if her requirements, there's 3 pending that are still left to have her be admitted, and 1 has been received. You also can use this technology to communicate to a student through their portal experience. So for example, this student turned in an essay. I made an internal comment that it needs to be longer. Perhaps it was only 250 and it needs to be 500 words. So this could be resubmitted, and that can be done manually. It can be done through workflows, and that portal comment can be displayed on her application, her portal, so that when she logs back in to see, how's my application going, she can see that there needs to be an update to her essay in order to be considered. All of this down here allows for, again, the ability to have this quick access panel to understand where students are in the process. I can see here that she's 25% complete of all of her documents. Another really key indicator to see where students are progressing through the application, what percentage they're being complete, and again, allowing for that data-driven decision-making there. Another option to review applications could be through our Reader Rx process. So Reader Rx allows for the ability to route, score, review, admit students through this interface. It's designed to be mobile friendly and have pertinent information about the students on the home page. So inside of Salesforce, you're collecting all kinds of data, whether it's data the student has provided through an application or through event registration. It could be data that you're importing from third-party lists or through your SIS. It could be manual information that your team has updated after a phone call with the student bill. Whatever data is out there, while you're reviewing them, you might really want to just kind of hone in on the exact data points that are relevant for this review process. Just like the application portal and the event portal that we talked about, this is a configurable process where perhaps myself as a hypothetically director of admission, I might see a certain set of data versus then maybe the admission committee who needs to see a different set of data. So this can be configurable by user type, by student type, etc. So on this page here, I can see all of Bill Williams' information, what his birthday, his phone number, what program he applied for, etc. I also can start to drill into some more significant sections of this. So if you think of this page we just were on as kind of a cover sheet, right? All of his data, all of his information that's kind of concisely here to package up who is Bill, what is he applying for, etc. But on the left-hand side, you can drill into individual sections to learn more. So for example, I might want to take a deeper dive into his education history. So I know his GPA and his ACT, but perhaps I want to see, is it weighted, unweighted, when did he matriculate from this institution, etc. I also can take a look at any documents that are being stored inside of Salesforce on this student. So I might be able to see, recommenders information here. And with our newest release coming up, we also have the ability to have PDF annotation. So you can mark up the documents, make changes, highlight them, and then send them on to the next person to review. And speaking of review, on the right-hand side here, reviewer feedback. So again, just like the cover sheet we talked about when it comes to the reader experience, on the right-hand side, you can have different sets of reviewer feedback. In this scenario, the student is a master's student, and so therefore I have questions perhaps related to the fact that he is a master's student. I can scroll through here, and all of this, again, configurable for your particular use case. Scroll through here, indicate yes, no. Perhaps I want to say, is the student overall fit 1 to 5? Make some comments here. Scroll down, and I could even say things such as, what's my top attribute? There's one word to describe the student. What would it be? And then you have the ability to determine what happens next. So you can have a multi-step review process when it comes to reviewing applications. I might be the second person in a 3-step process. So for example, I'm going to see down here, my colleague has already reviewed this application, scored the student, and now it's sent to me. From there, I perhaps have the ability, depending on your business processes, to make a decision, a final admission decision. Maybe I'm the second review and I say I sign off, and it's going to send over to the dean of the college as an example. So you can choose what happens with these applications as they route through the system. And of course, again, many different versions you can have within inside of one Salesforce org. Another thing to note too is, of course, you can save all this work. So perhaps you're doing a competitive review and you're looking at students who are all applying for the integrative science program. And so you want to review them all, save them, and then come back and make your decisions after reviewing all of them. That's an option there. As I mentioned too, you can use documents attached to this record. You can PDF them, zip them, export them if need be, and then from there, submit it or pass it on to the next reviewer. After this happens, so whether you are using the process we showed earlier with the status bar across the top, this reviewer experience, or perhaps your institution has automatic workflow that automatically admits a student based on a combination of things such as test score and minimum GPA, or in-state student and ranking at their high school. Whatever criteria you have, this can also continue on through the applicant portal. So I can come in here and I can see that same applicant portal we were on earlier might change now for the student. He or she might see that the decision has been rendered. Perhaps there's an admission decision in here that tells the student they've been admitted. Next step, accept your decision. You also could see, for example, on the left-hand side, your checklist items could change. So in the beginning, we had a checklist item for admissions documents. And these were the things that needed to be completed in order to be reviewed for admission and have that submitted to the university. But then once a student is admitted, now their checklist might change. So now we need things such as health immunization records, maybe a interview, or that final transcript. Many schools we're working with are allowing for unofficial transcripts as students are going through the application process. But once they're admitted, we're going to need that final transcript before they enroll. So these are all options of how this applicant portal can change and evolve as a student is moving through the process here. All right, so let's talk a little bit about your admission counselors, your users of Salesforce, and how can you use this technology to help manage your tasks, manage your workflow each and every day. So again, I'm back in here in Salesforce, and I'm looking at my home screen here. And of course, if you're using Salesforce, you may or may not know that this home screen can be customized based on profiles and roles. So experience of an international admission counselor who's reviewing files might be different from someone who's focused on event management or focused on communication. But in this scenario, I'm the director of admissions, and I'm looking at my dashboards for the day, looking at things such as what tasks do I have coming up in order to complete and manage my time. Maybe most recently, what files have I been working on? What calling campaign is in works for me? Perhaps we have a deadline coming up on December 15th, and I want to call all my students who are signed up or who started an application in order to encourage Chris and Jeremy and Jill. You need to submit your application by December 15th in order to be eligible for X program. And then if you haven't started using these kinds of functionality, or again, if you're new to Salesforce, integration with Outlook or Gmail allows for you to have that calendar sync between your personal or your work email address and then also your calendar with inside of Salesforce. So I could see here, managing my tasks. In the morning, I have assigned to me reviewing all my call lists. I'm going to do that first thing in the morning. In the afternoon, perhaps I have the idea of reviewing applications or following up with my high school visits I've booked for the spring semester. You also can see calendars from other users. So perhaps my colleague Nina here, I could take a look and see what she has scheduled. So that way it just creates an ease of use between internal users and making sure that your calendars are synced with Salesforce and your email provider. And also, too, another great robust tool within the Salesforce platform is the idea of dashboards and reports. So at Enrollment Rx, as I mentioned, we've been doing this for over 12 years. And so we've worked with clients who have given us all kinds of direction when it comes to data points they want to pull when it comes to recruitment, admissions, etc. So as part of our engagement, we definitely work through building out reports and dashboards with you. But for example, here's a recruiter dashboard. So again, if I'm logging in, I might want to see how are my metrics performing this year or maybe year over year. I can see here that I've got way overdue tasks. So it looks like today I should spend some time cleaning up my open tasks. I can see things such as, upcoming events, my school visits. So perhaps I'm working diligently right now to reimagine or revisit my feeder schools in the spring, and I want to either work on an in-person or a virtual event with those feeder schools. So you can have all this information here. Again, if you're new to Salesforce, you also have the ability to subscribe to these dashboards, have them pushed out to you daily, weekly, as well as have them embedded in your homepage we just looked at. Another great functionality is you can send those dashboards to other users as well. So perhaps I'm reporting out to the dean of the business school every month how numbers are looking for that particular department. I can send her a dashboard via email so she's able to see her students and track the progression of her funnel there. Okay, so as I mentioned here, visits, let's talk a little bit about visit management. So inside of Salesforce, we have Enrollment Rx has created our school visits object where you can keep track of the times you're visiting a particular feeder school. This is really important because we know that there's turnover in admission counselors, or perhaps you're changing territories. And if you've been working actively, for example, with Deerfield High School, say it's a great feeder school for you, you've been visiting it often, and there's a change in staff, and you want to make sure that all that information you've collected or that affinity you've built with this school continues on with your next staff member. So here I'm taking a look at my account record here, standard Salesforce functionality, where I'm looking at Deerfield High School. And I can see just general information about Deerfield High School. But if I want to dig into the actual school visits attached to this, so I can see that over time, we have visited this school 3 times, and I have 2 that are completed, 1 that was scheduled. So let's take a look at that more deeply. So when I dive in here, I can take a look at a recruitment visit. And I can see, for example, this is attached to Deerfield High School. I also can see right away who's my key contact there. Looks like it's Emily Cartwright, and I should reach out to her if I have questions or to schedule the visit, perhaps. You can do things such as schedule, how much these events cost. So you maybe are providing a DoorDash coupon for your high school guidance counselor to buy her virtual lunch while you do a virtual session. It could be that you're actually visiting campus and you're keeping track, or visiting the school and you're keeping track of related costs with that. So some options there. You also can have things such as notes and comments. This is really helpful too. I remember way back when I started admissions in 2003 when we didn't have Google Maps and we had to use MapQuest. It was always really helpful to get the notes from my predecessor on where to park, but they were always paper notes they handed me versus it being in the CRM. So having the ability to track and know, okay, when I pull to this high school parking lot, I need to look for the visitor parking way on the left-hand side of the building. So again, just good data, good information to share that knowledge. You also can keep track of things such as material requests. So again, you realize you went last year and they wiped you out of all your materials. So next year when you go, you need to up your number of pieces you're bringing, or pens, or whatever you are bringing into your visits. And then again, as I mentioned before, keeping track of those individual, how many people did I see, what grade were they in, etc. And of course, that's going to be all attached to that related record. So when I take a look at Deerfield High School's account record, I'm going to see these visits, I'm going to see all of my contacts who are associated with that, high school students, counselors, etc. It's also really helpful to pull data before you reach a high school or talk to a high school to say, looks like we have 5 students who are still missing their transcripts, or this is exciting, we're seeing a 10% increase of applicants from Deerfield High School. Thanks so much for continuing to support our university. Then again, on the right-hand side, continuing that task management. So I could next year set up an event. Maybe I book my visit with Ms. Cartwright before I leave. I can create tasks to remind myself to follow up with her perhaps. She said, call me back maybe end of January to figure out next steps. Log calls, send emails, etc. So again, this is all stored in one place in order to have a good seamless and streamless experience. So again, what's really important is the fact that everything I just showed you here, whether it's from the very beginning here when we talked about the applicant portal, all the way through the idea of event registration, through the idea of a reader experience, all of this is configurable, and we spend time together through our implementation in order to give your team, your admins, both IT and operational, the ability to maintain and manage this system. Okay, so back into our next step when it comes to our R.A.D. So we talked a little bit about why be R.A.D., what is R.A.D. So let's talk a little bit about how people become R.A.D. So first of all, as we go through this, I mentioned before, we spend time together teaching our schools, our admins, our IT, operational, how to use this technology in order to really leverage the full power of Salesforce with Enrollment Rx on top of it. So we are well versed in working with institutions of all different sizes and shapes that are serving a myriad of student populations. And so we have our projects include schools that are new to Salesforce, those who are looking for ways to enhance their Salesforce platform, or even those who are completely new to CRM or transitioning from a different CRM platform. We've seen it all. Our typical implementation takes about 6 months. We consider it to be very high touch, and we spend time in the beginning doing deep discovery because we know that you are trying to solve needs you have today as well as needs you might have this time next year or 2 years in the future. So we want to make sure that everything we're building and working with you on is able to grow and scale as your population grows and scales as well. Then from there, we spend time with configuration, building out and making sure that all of our products are configurable and matching your use cases. We also spend a lot of time during this doing a train the trainer approach, walking through what we're doing, making sure that everyone who's on the implementation project from your side is lock in step with our team. And then from there, we come back and do very dedicated training. So we really try to specialize that training to the unique needs of your institution. So for example, you might have a group of student workers who are going to be using the CRM for a specific task, perhaps following up with students who are admitted but haven't deposited. You might want training for your faculty members who are just touching that review portion. So perhaps they want to have dedicated time to understand the review, how to score, etc. Your admins may need training. Your end users, your functional end users may need some training. So again, the idea is that we want to make sure we're providing those resources for you. Once you go live, we continue supporting you through the life of the contract together with all kinds of great resources. So whether it's a ticketing system, we have a fantastic navigator site where it has searchable guides on all of our products that we upgrade usually about 3 times a year. And for those clients on the call today, you might attest that as you look at the product roadmap over the next release coming up now and in the future, you can definitely see the influence our clients have on our product roadmap. Our goal is to continue to enhance these products so that way we are, first of all, capitalizing all the innovations on the Salesforce platform. And then secondly, we are addressing the needs that our schools are having when it comes to serving the student population and making sure technology only enhances and never inhibits your ability to grow and scale. And 3, our team is also just really excited about some of this technology that can be used in use cases we never even dreamed about. So the product roadmap is very well defined and of course always open to input from our client community. Once you do upgrades, etc., the Navigator site is full of information when you can searchable. There's videos. We do webinars constantly. A new series that just started, a plug for my colleague Matt, does a 5-minute Friday, where he spends just a quick 5 minutes talking about things such as how to build a dashboard view, how to do some workflows, just little bits of nuggets, little nuggets of information in order to help our users continue to harness the full power of this platform and product. And we hope again too to have some in-person trainings and events like we did in 2019. So obviously 2020 has been a virtual year for all of us. Our hope is in the future we'll continue picking up with our events we're hosting there. All right, well, thank you all so much for your time so far. And I want to just kind of check in with my colleague Misty, who's been managing the Q&A section, to see if there are any questions that came up throughout the presentation or things that you might be interested in learning more about.
Yes, Wendy, great job. There is a question here. Do the portals you showed serve all different types of applicants? Are there other use cases for those?
Yeah, great question. We probably could spend a whole day talking about our form builder functionality. So the answer to that is yes, most definitely. We often talk during presentations like this about an applicant portal because it tends to be the most common use case. However, inside that applicant portal, we also have the ability to have that portal change. So what I mean by that is a school might be recruiting or having an application that's designed for an international student versus a freshman versus a transfer versus a continuing ed. They all can live in that same portal experience, but the actual portal itself can change and adapt and display different information. We also have schools that have taken that portal technology above and beyond and are using it for things such as international agent portals, high school guidance portals, parent portals, alumni portals. The great thing about it is that our portal form builder is a per org installment. So once it's in your org, you can create as many portals and pages as you want going forward with that. Okay, do we have any other questions? Okay, awesome.
Yeah, I do. What types of SISs have you had integration experience with? How much work does our IT department have to do for maintenance of the integration as well?
Okay, multi-question there. Again, another area that we can spend a lot of time talking about is integration. So our approach at Enrollment Rx is the idea that we call it the pond vision. So in the center of a big pond would be your CRM, Salesforce with Enrollment Rx, and that's where you're keeping track of all this recruitment, admissions, and decisions processes. However, schools have student information systems or systems of record that data has to flow in and out of. Our integration team has spent many years building out great customized and configurable integrations with products such as Banner, Genzabar, Colleague, Lucian products, homegrown systems, and so our extensive experience allows for us to have this ability to really understand the nuances of your PeopleSoft, the one I'm thinking of too, understanding the nuances between your SIS and the Salesforce integration. When it comes to the amount of work it takes in IT, that's another great question. We get that often. We know that at schools, IT resources are usually very stretched with many different projects, as well as, I'm sure this year, moving virtually to so many schools has also caused a strain on IT resources. So our general engagement with a client does include integration services, advisory services hours, where we spend time with your IT department talking about best practices, etc. For schools that are using our Integration RX, the ask on the IT staff is very minimal. We do ask some time at the beginning in order to get maybe some data dictionary information, in order to kind of just maybe provide some access, but from there, our integration team handles all of that integration between the two systems and maintains changes, etc. throughout.
Awesome. And I have one last question, it looks like. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Is there any integration with Workday before I go into the other question?
Yeah, okay, so great question. Full transparency, we have not done integration with Workday yet, it being a newer SIS on the market. However, I know our team is very excited about the opportunity to have integration project with Workday, and that it's something that we look forward to in 2021 occurring.
Fabulous. And last question is, if we use a managed package for admission, how does that impact our ability to grow on the Salesforce platform?
Okay, yeah, another great question. Going back to the beginning of the presentation, when we talked about the ability to, or why having a platform-based product like this is really important, is that with Salesforce, Salesforce provides the ability to have a platform that grows from recruitment admissions to student success to advancement, giving, and on. So with a managed package, a question that does come up often from people we talk to is, what does this mean for us if I decide I want to continue on to using the platform for advancement or donor giving, etc. As I mentioned before, our philosophy is to really build a very flexible architecture so that everything we're doing at that front door, which is that front door to the University of Admissions and Recruitment, allows for you to scale. So we work with many schools that are also using, for example, Salesforce's Advisor Link, or they're using different products within the Salesforce ecosystem as part of their overarching kind of org structure. So again, everything we're doing, flexible, object agnostic too. So we are built to be compatible with the education data architecture, as well as using objects that are standard objects, EDA objects, custom objects you've created yourself, objects that we've created. Again, the automations of all of our products are designed to be object agnostic. Great. Any other questions,
Perfect.
Misty?
That's all the questions I have.
Okay, awesome. Well, if any questions do come up from anyone who's on the call today, we would love to talk more in detail. So mention this is just a quick introduction and overview of the R.A.D solution. So on the screen here, I have our information if you want to reach out, and we can definitely have a deeper discussion or really dive into some of the products and functionality I just touched upon today. Again, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate this, especially during a very busy end of 2020. And I wish you all great success this year and health and happiness. And again, any questions, let us know, and we appreciate it.